Red Solo Cup, I fill you up. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup.
Yay, yay! What's up, Jive Turkeys? We're coming to you live from the Rip-A-Beat Lair here in Ridley Park, Pennsylvania. Great show for you today, as always. I'll give you the rundown here, but first make sure everybody check out social media, which is Storytime with Boots, Twitter and Instagram. Storytime W Boots, is Twitter, and then the other two are Instagram and Facebook, Storytime with Boots there. But some great topics. I figure we'll get right into the hot topics of the day. I'll give you the rundown of those. We're going to talk about Robert Kraft, Jussie Smollett, Khloe Kardashian and Jordan Woods, LeBron and the Lakers, the Roundup beer and wine, or I should say the Roundup has been found in certain beers and wine, and Peanut Butter Man. Good slate there. Make sure you listen all the way through. Welcome, Rip-A-Beat, once again. Thanks for letting us use your lair here.
Of course. What up?
Why don't you tell everybody what you're sipping on?
I'm doing peach Ciroc and apricot LaCroix.
Yeah, so he's getting in the summer mood, I guess. I, too, am getting in the summer mood. I got a Michelob Ultra here. One of my favorite go-tos for just domestic draft, so keeping it light today. Nice. Top right into Robert Kraft. This was kind of a bombshell. I remember hearing this. I think I was driving when I heard this, listening to Sports Talk Radio. Robert Kraft, and it first came out, they made it seem like he was part of a prostitution ring.
Well, that's why I want to be careful, because I'm kind of thinking that, you know, I don't want to offend people, but I don't think it's a huge deal. But then if they're going to sway it like he's some child sex advocate and sex slave and human trafficking, the media is just really sticking it to him.
Well, I get exactly what you're saying, because it is touchy from that standpoint. Because
right.
At first they tried to make it seem like he was part of this prostitution ring, which is just absolute evil, you know, where they abduct girls and basically sell them into this ring. They can't leave. They're essentially sex slaves.
Right, and who would support that?
Nobody would support that. Obviously, nobody would support that. Apparently, where he went to in Jupiter, Florida, this Asian massage parlor, which pretty much in every state, let's be honest, he goes in. What's awesome about this, it was the morning of the Chiefs and Patriots AFC Championship game that he went in.
If I'm not mistaken, he went back-to-back. He went morning, and then after they won.
He went for a nightcap?
He went twice, yeah.
Oh, God bless him. He's 77, too.
So let me just defend him real quick. He's 77-year-old. He's a widower. I mean,
right.
Realistically, how is he going to... I mean, I guess if you want to say that he's a billionaire, he'll get chicks, but, you know, the guy's trying to get a hand job. I mean...
And you being Rip-A-Beat, you know all about that.
Yeah, and I don't know, so I kind of feel like no harm.
Back-to-back for a 77-year-old? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
He's definitely got to be on Viagra, you think?
And, like, what the hell is he thinking getting dropped off by a driver? Like, he's got the limo pulling up to, like, a $60... massage place. I don't know. He probably could have been a little more...
See, that's where I'll disagree with you. Because he is a billionaire, he can still get chicks. In fact, he could probably have, let's just be real, sugar babies or whatever he wants to call them.
True.
And it doesn't even have to go down like that. You know what I mean? So it is kind of... That is kind of Bush League for him to go that, but it's awesome at the same time. I don't know.
I mean, like I said, I want to feel like it's awesome, but like I don't want to be labeled, and you know, like I said, the way the media is portraying it, like who would support that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest too. When it first came out, I posted on social media that he was everything that's wrong with America, because I thought he was part of a prostitution ring. You know what I mean? I didn't know he just went in and solicited a prostitute hand job at a washy-wash.
Right, and for everyone who's outraged, it's a misdemeanor.
Yeah. That's what everybody was saying. His biggest backlash is not going to be legally. It's not that, if anyone looks it up legally, it's really not that big of an offense, sorry to say. It's just going to be held in the court of public opinion.
What else? You know what else? Did you see that they're saying he's not the biggest name that's coming out there? I did some research on that. You know who else is from the Juniper area?
Tiger.
Yeah, there's
Tiger.
a couple people, a lot of people down there.
Well, I thought
all the rich folk.
I thought they were hitting towards Trump, and then Tiger immediately came to mind. I knew he was there, but supposedly he's free and clear. I don't know. Tiger and Trump were the two I thought of, but I did start Googling famous people from Jupiter, Florida.
There's a lot of golfers.
Yeah, I think it's a rich area. So, yeah, a ton of golfers. And
so overall for me, I mean, you know, he's 77. He's a widower. He's a single guy. It's not like he's married, so there's no, like, infidelity issues. I mean, it is illegal, but if it was in California or Vegas, it wouldn't be illegal.
Really? In California?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get call girls in California.
Damn.
Yeah. Or escorts, I mean.
I didn't know that. The other thing is, too, the police were staking out the place for a while. So they thought this was going in, and unluckily for him, he happened to be one of the ones. They had cameras in the room. I think he's dead to rights on this, too, meaning like they got him.
But he's fighting it, too.
They pulled him over and ID'd him, too. So they pulled his limo over after it happened. So not only do they have him in the massage parlor, they have him, because they had surveillance cameras set up. I guess they were able to get a warrant for that. Then they also have him leaving in his limo, and they ID'd him. So now, it's almost no way he can get out of that.
Is there any chance, is he losing his way as an old man?
No.
He lost his wife. He's at every party. Did you see that he was at the Oscars partying last weekend?
Dude, what is up with him and Meek Mill?
He's friends with Meek Mill. He had the championships chain on. Did you see that at the Super Bowl parade? Meek Mill gave him his chain. He was wearing like a $90,000 diamond chain.
Yeah, it's weird. He's doing that weird dance on stage.
Yeah, I mean, his is
it a late midlife crisis?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he lost his wife and now he's drinking too much, and like his family's got to be embarrassed. You know?
Is it a late midlife crisis, or is it just an old guy with money that can do what he wants? That's not married anymore.
If you want to look at it that way, I don't see no harm in that. You know what I mean?
So what do you think should happen from the NFL?
So I think the NFL's going to pressure him. I think he's probably going to have to turn the team over to his son, not like lose it. But I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on him. Goodell's known to put the hammer down, and I didn't notice until this story came out, the owners are under a more strict no-tolerance policy than the players. And everybody knows that the players are he comes down hard on the players.
Damn.
And the owners are under an even more strict policy. When Jim Irsay got a DUI, he was suspended for like 10 weeks, like couldn't be around the team, and like they lost draft picks, and that was just this solicitation and the way that the media is calling it, human trafficking. I think he's going to be in serious, unprecedented trouble through the NFL. But I hope he doesn't do anything more than community service and jail time, or anything more than a fine and community service.
I think if they find that this massage parlor did have the prostitutes there, were there from a prostitution ring, held against their will, I think there will obviously be bigger backlash if that was the case, and that's what's happening.
I don't know that they'll ever find out if the girls are there for their will and against their will. And the human rights people say even if they're there to make a buck, the human rights people are going to say it's still wrong that people are brainwashed. So he's really up against a rock and a hard place, but America loves knocking people down so they can come back. That's just how it is.
I guess we'll just have to see. I just want to see those cheating-ass Patriots go down, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the AFC, so I think we talked about this before. I'm more against NFC teams on the rise. I hate Green Bay. I hate, superior teams in our conference, but
I think overall it was a win as an Eagles fan watching that Super Bowl. It was such a bad Super Bowl and just so boring and awful that nobody was a winner of that Super Bowl.
And I hate to play the what-if game, but I feel like we really could have beat either team.
Yeah, well, we've obviously beat the Rams.
Right.
I definitely think the way that game played out, we could have beat the Patriots for sure. They didn't look great.
No.
All right, we'll move on then to what I said about Robert Kraft being everything that's wrong with America to the person who is really everything that's wrong with America, Jussie Smollett. I'm going to read the article from the police chief of Chicago, And this is an article from the website Real Clear Politics. Here it goes, so it'll be a couple minutes here. The Chicago Police Department reported Thursday morning that Empire actor Jussie Smollett faked a hate crime to promote his career because he was unhappy with his salary. He paid two men $3,500, by check, by the way, to conduct a choreographed attack. Smollett was arrested and charged with felony disorderly conduct for allegedly filing a false police report. Eddie Johnson, Chicago Police Superintendent, said, "As I look into the crowd, I just wish that the families of gun violence in the city got this much attention because that's who really deserves the amount of attention that we're given to this particular incident. This morning I come to you not only as the Superintendent of Chicago Police Department, but also as a black man who spent his entire life living in the city of Chicago. I know the racial divide that exists here. I know how hard it's been in our city and our nation to come together. I also know the disparities and I know the history. This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile? How can an individual who has been embraced by the city of Chicago turn around and slap everyone in the city in the face by making these false claims? Bogus police reports cause real harm. They do harm to every legitimate victim who is in need of support by police and investigators, as well as citizens of this city. Chicago hosts one of the largest pride parades in the world, and we're proud of that as police department and also as a city. We do not, nor do we ever tolerate hate in our city, whether that hate is based on an individual's sexual orientation, race, or anything else. So I'm offended by what has happened, and I'm also angry. I love the city of Chicago and the Chicago Police Department, warts and all, but the publicity stunt was a scar that Chicago didn't earn and certainly didn't deserve. To make things worse, accusations within this phony attack received national attention for weeks. Celebrities, news commentators, and even presidential candidates weighed in on something that was choreographed by an actor. First, Smollett attempted to gain attention by sending a false letter that relied on racial, homophobic, and political language. When that didn't work, Smollett paid $3,500 to stage this attack and drag Chicago's reputation through the mud in the process. And why? This stunt was orchestrated by Smollett because he was dissatisfied with his salary, so he concocted a story about being attacked. Now, our city has problems. We know that. We have problems that have affected people from all walks of life, and we know that. But to put the national spotlight on Chicago for something that is both egregious and untrue is simply shameful. I'm also concerned what this means moving forward to hate crimes. Now, of course, the Chicago Police Department will continue to investigate all reports of these types of incidents with the same amount of vigor that we do with this one. My concern is that hate crimes will not be met with a level of skepticism that previously didn't happen. That said, Smollett was treated as a victim throughout this entire investigation until we received evidence that led detectives in another direction. I couldn't be more proud of the unrelenting detective work that went into this investigation. I couldn't be more proud of every investigator that played a part in it. The detective work that we saw in this case is indicative of the work that our detectives do every day in the city. This case in particular involved hours of video evidence, which then combined with old-fashioned police work uncovered the truth. These detectives deserve all the credit in the world for carefully organizing, analyzing the leads and the evidence for weeks before coming to their conclusion. I'd also like to thank the FBI for their help in this investigation, the FBI's partnership with CPD, which was pivotal in this case. I only hope that the truth about what happened receives the same amount of attention as the hoax did. I'll continue to pray for this troubled young man who resorted to both drastic and illegal tactics to gain attention. I'll also continue to pray for our city, asking that we can move forward from this and begin to heal.
Well, good for him, first of all.
Good for him. Good for the entire police department of Chicago for coming out and making that statement. Basically what he's saying is we have enough problems here. It's a great city, but everybody knows Chicago has a high murder rate. They have a huge drug and gang problem. He's basically saying, I do not have time for this shit.
Yeah,
and you are absolutely smearing the entire city of Chicago. He's saying, we've dealt with race relations here, and for you to put something together like this and scar the city the way that you did is just absolutely egregious.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he really was handled that statement with class and elegance, and just to dive on some points, I think this guy's a huge piece of shit, and I won't pray for him.
I won't pray for him. He is the epitome of the piece of shit. He is of a piece of shit and a scumbag. He is everything that's wrong with this country for a variety of reasons.
And I think he's mimicking Hollywood.
Well, it's all Hollywood, and here's what Hollywood still doesn't get through their thick skulls. This is why so many people don't believe anything anybody in Hollywood says, because they're all a bunch of fakes. They're all a bunch of phonies. They're frigging actors, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? This is what they do. Most of them have sold their soul to the devil to get where they are, or it's the reverse. They're the evil, person in power, like a Harvey Weinstein, who is the one dictating these actors. Oh, you want to be an actor? Well, you're going to have sex with me. So they're nothing but scumbags in Hollywood, and he just epitomizes that, and they're fakes and phonies. So it's also the problem that a lot of people have with the media. Most people second guess the bullshit that the media put out because they have their own agenda.
And
so here comes this guy. They're intertwined, just like most colleges.
And that's where I was going with that. You touched on it. You kind of drew out my point better. The LGBT community has to be embarrassed, first of all.
Calling himself the Black Tupac.
Yeah.
Like you are the biggest coward in the world. He has the balls. He was on stage somewhere, called him. He did something. He was like, I fought back. Oh, my God. You are the lowest of the low.
And he preyed on with the MAGA hats. He preyed on the political motives. That's already
preyed on Trump, that's all people do is they want, whether you like Trump or not.
The media couldn't wait to do that. Right. I'm not defending. Trump does enough things to get people to dislike him, but he's just preying on that. And then he's preying on race.
Preying on homosexuality.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. It's like a slap in Chicago's face. You got to be embarrassed if you're an LGBT community. If you're black from Chicago, you have to be embarrassed. I really hate that he just touched on all the buttons that really piss people off. We didn't even touch on this. Shame on all these people like the Cory Bookers, all these political people who couldn't wait to jump on his side. Shame on all those people.
Well, how about the people that made comments to the effect of, oh, I wish it really did happen. So they really wish that, there was white supremacists out there that did attack this man for being black or being homosexual. They wish that actually happened.
Yeah.
How sick is that? Like they want the world to be messed up towards their agenda.
Yeah,
They don't really want to make things better. They want it to fit their agenda so that they can complain about it.
More so than
they
want
it to be better.
So was this orchestrated by Jussie Smollett? Or was it a deeper Hollywood?
Who knows, man?
I hate to get so cynical, but like you said it. This is why people question.
Who knows
if
it's if Empire, didn't have some hand in this.
Empire canceled them, and I think there's two shows. So there's only 2 shows left in their current season, and they're somehow removing him from the last 2 seasons. So I don't know anything about the show and if he's a vital role or not, but they're basically just erasing him. So cheers to them, and I really hope all these celebrities that got right behind him before the facts came out, I really hope that they eat shit. And they get bashed a little bit, and this just burns me up. I hate Hollywood and the media and the way that whoever orchestrated this really just preyed on the downfalls of America. Right. That's just like a low class thing to do.
Well, here's what I will say about that. I will say that after it was reported, where in the past a lot of media outlets have spun it so it didn't seem like they were wrong. Because initially they jumped on the bandwagon to say that Jussie Smollett was attacked, and they were,
he's the victim.
They were running with that victim mentality. But when it did come out that the evidence is starting to show that this guy orchestrated this bullshit, I will say A lot of news organizations did backtrack that story, did kind of present the truth to the public. And for the most part, the public's response was what it should have been. All people were kind of coming together, like basically saying, this guy's an asshole, this guy's an idiot. If you saw Charles Barkley was making fun of him, other people were making fun of him. Like he was getting what he deserved when the media actually told the truth. And that's the key. It's how the media portrays or spin things first that get people's emotions involved. So if they tell the truth, from my standpoint, I think most people were, bashing this guy.
So I don't think the bashing of him was more than the original outrage, though. So that's what I have a problem with, because I hear what you're saying, and I'm not, disagreeing. But my point is, the initial response when the feelings are dug into is always greater than the story. They say the media will report fake news and then correct it weeks later. It'll be front page news and then the corrections on page 10. If you see what I'm saying.
No, I see.
And
what
that's
you're
what that's what
when
pisses
it's when
me
it's
off.
a complete afterthought.
Right, exactly, and it is an afterthought. And I did see Barkley and some people defending him. I don't know if you saw.
Well, not defending him,
but I mean,
not defending.
Yeah, I meant criticizing him and really giving him. But really he's getting what he wanted, and that's the spotlight. But that's
I don't think this is what he wanted, because now the latest reports, things that I've seen is now he was saying that he had a drug problem, or the pressures of Hollywood.
He was saying that's exactly what he's saying. He's struggling with addiction that he hasn't treated yet. How convenient. I would have respected him more if he just owned it and said, you know what? In hindsight, it was a stupid fucking thing, and I'm going to own whatever comes my way because of it and pay my debt to society for doing this stupid shit.
No, he's typical Hollywood. He's trying to weasel out of it like they always do.
Yeah, and
well, this goes back to, and we'll get into this topic or not this topic, but this person later on, LeBron. Remember when he said that he had Nazis spray painted his house in California in that gated community?
Yeah.
And when evidence started coming out, media basically just went silent, because by all intents and purposes, if you look into that, it looks like complete bullshit. First of all, the gated
LeBron's
community that he lives in,
we know that.
He's a fucking punk, man. The more I was defending the shit out of him in our first pod, so we'll get into that, but the more I read and hear about him, that was basically bullshit in my opinion. Because when they started to dig in, that community is almost impossible to get into, number one. And there was no cameras, even though the guy's probably getting up to close to a billionaire. No camera footage of anybody doing it. Again, just for media attention. But he's a lot more famous than Jussie Smollett. He's going to be able to weasel it and keep media off him for that.
Well, we'll get to that, but just to wrap up this topic on not a funnier note, it's actually sad, but I don't know if you saw R. Kelly got arrested the same weekend, and the memes are saying that they're going to have the best choir in prison history because it's going to be Jussie and R. Kelly. I thought that was funny. Yeah, they're in the same jail, but fuck Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. We'll just have to see again, like Robert Kraft, what happens with him. But
right, I'm going to say right now, I'm going to predict it, and it's probably odds-on favorite. His career is definitely over from this.
Do you think he goes to jail? Because it is a criminal offense.
Yeah, he might be able to avoid jail. I don't know how rich he is, but I know he's like a fake musician, but I really think that the Empire people who are musicians, who play musicians, are really trying to be musicians, if that makes sense.
No,
so he plays a musician on the show, but he's trying to
build his music career.
Build his music career. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say his music career is over. He might avoid jail time depending on how successful he's been with his money management. But I think that he's definitely done because, unlike LeBron, and we'll get to him, and even R. Kelly to that matter, he hasn't done anything
the
in
idiot
any
paid,
industry.
He paid these guys that I think were also a part of Empire somehow. He paid these guys in a check, too. What a dumbass. That's what Charles Barkley was basically making for him. He's like, if you're going to commit a criminal act, you pay in cash. You don't pay in a check.
Yeah, it's just how stupid can you be? But some people, I guess.
And then just the last point I want to make about this. So let's say that there was no evidence that police found, and they found a man who met Jussie Smollett's description, and this man then had to go to court, which means Jussie Smollett would sit in a court of law and blame this innocent man for doing a crime he never committed and go all the way with that.
And me saying that he wasn't that popular, I would bet that he would win the convict. Like, he would win.
If they
the innocent person would be found guilty because of the Hollywood pressure and the media, the media,
like an OJ situation.
Yeah, they basically commit a media. People use it as like a weapon of mass destruction. Really, the Hollywood. They kind of, they
use it to get what they want.
Yeah, and they put unsurmountable pressure if they have like facts and like not facts, but to your point, like if they can pin it on someone and paint it a certain way.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to some other HOEs. Khloe Kardashian, Jordan Woods. I could really give a shit about the Kardashians, but I did have just a couple points I wanted to make about this that I found pretty interesting. Khloe Kardashian is now being treated like the victim because Tristan Thompson cheated on her with, is it Kylie's best friend, Jordan Woods?
Yeah, Kylie's best friend.
So her sister's best friend, Jordan Woods, who's been now a part of the Kardashian clan, and I think she's doing makeup with Kylie. And
well, basically, Kylie's best friend, but kind of like personal assistant. I guess they become such good friends that Kylie doesn't want to call her that because it's deeper than that.
Right.
But basically, like, life partner.
Khloe and Tristan Thompson, who plays for the Cavaliers and has sucked ass ever since they've been together. Not that he was that great, but I thought he played decent in the NBA Finals.
When they beat the
Warriors. The Warriors.
They couldn't box him out. He was a beast on the. Yeah, I mean, he helped swing the series. But other than that, he's an average basketball player, maybe
average
slightly above
player.
Average, slightly.
So first thing I have to say, any woman who is going to date, marry an NBA player, you 100% got to know they're going to cheat on you. If history has told you anything, they're going to cheat on you. And you just got to know that. I mean, I don't even...
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
I agree.
Like, what do you expect?
You're signing up for a lifestyle.
You're signing up for a lifestyle. You know that's going to happen. Not saying it makes it right, not saying anything, but you know what you're getting yourself into. And she's stupid. She how many basketball players has she dated? Let's not act like this woman is Mother Teresa here. And here's what I don't get about making her the victim. When Khloe first met Tristan, how did they, or was Tristan involved with anybody?
Well, I'm good. You are. Can I go for a minute?
Go, man. This is where this bitch is not the victim.
Yeah. So to your point, he had a pregnant wife.
What, was he married or was it his baby mama?
Just baby. She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. They were having a baby.
And I don't know if anyone has seen her. She looks better than Khloe.
I thought so too. I did see pictures.
Yeah, she
definitely looks
gorgeous.
And Khloe's all fake.
And
too.
not to mention,
let's not forget what Khloe actually looked like before all the surgeries. She looked like China, the WWF.
I have so much on this story. I don't know how much time we have allotted for this, but do you think she's OJ's daughter?
No, I think there's this. Because I saw.
Did you hear that rumor though?
I did hear that rumor because she's.
I don't think it's true either. But
of all the Kardashians, she's the lightest skinned of them all.
Yeah, and she's like.
So how would she?
Big.
Yeah,
like Kim and
she would be big.
I looked them up. Like Kourtney's tiny. Kim is like 5'2".
So they're all real.
Khloe's
they're all
big.
Tiny. They're all Kardashians. Khloe's like 5'9". Like she's big as shit.
Yeah.
There was a picture on TMZ one time. I still remember it, seeing it, of this white guy that they thought was Khloe Kardashian's dad, that supposedly Kris Jenner had an affair with. This, I'm telling you.
I do remember seeing
I'll Google that.
Yeah,
it looks just like her. It looks just like her. And it would make sense because she's the fairest skinned of them all.
And then next quick
question, I don't get how
before I dive in, do you think this is all orchestrated by the media? I'm going to call her media genius, media savant Kris Jenner. Is this an orchestrated hype that's just going to build into? I don't think so. No.
I don't think this. I mean, maybe it could be. Like, I would never put it past them. They'd sell their souls as quickly as they could. I just don't think it is. I think it's just something that happened. Obviously, Tristan Thompson, he cheated on Khloe or his baby mom with Khloe.
So let's get to that. So first of all, this isn't the first cheat. It's not like they were in a happy relationship. He just got caught with 2 strippers leaving the club when Khloe was pregnant. So he's a serial cheater. He was involved with his baby mom when she got with him. Her boyfriend before that was James Harden, who she stole from Trina. Remember Trina, the rapper? And then before that, she was dating French Montana, and apparently he was romantically linked to Amber Rose. So she has stole men, and now she's mad at a piece of shit man who's a serial cheater.
Well, it's just so funny how, once again, the media they make her out to be the saint and Tristan to be the bad guy, which I get it. He did cheat, so I guess he's the bad guy. But you knew what you were getting into, number one. And bitch, you did the same exact thing to somebody else. So how?
No one's innocent in this story, and I totally agree.
So let's stop making her the victim.
Yeah, and I'm just curious if Kris Jenner orchestrated it. I don't know if you saw Jada Pinkett has this. Basically, she's trying to develop a brand. It's on Facebook. Apparently, like her past couple of episodes have been. She's trying to do like a. Remember on Jerry Maguire where. The guy, I can't think of his name, was like, I'm not going to cry on the interview. She's trying to develop a platform that's like a really deep heart-to-heart with her guests. It's called The Red Table.
Who is?
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh, okay.
And Friday night, Jordan's going to be her guest.
Okay, so this is going to be her tell-all, I guess.
This is going to be her tell-all, and everyone wins. The Kardashians' names are in the media for this. Jada Pinkett, who's a friend of the Kris Kardashian, and then Jordan Woods' mom worked for Will Smith. She calls Will Uncle Will. So she's been in the celebrity news. I actually feel bad for Kylie because she's losing a best friend in this, a legit best friend, because rumors are, she was living in Kylie's mansion.
Yeah.
Well, she's going to be okay, but I just mean,
but if your
forget all the media stuff.
If your best friend screws over your sister at the same time, are they really your best friend?
Right, but how you never know how close they really are. If it was Kendall, I would see it, but are her and Khloe really close? I mean,
and truth be told, they'd all sell each other out because remember there was rumors that I think
they're 10 or 12 years apart too. It's not like they're close in age.
Wasn't there rumors that Scott smashed Kendall or Kylie? I forget which one.
No, Khloe. They were saying that he was smashing Khloe.
And one of the younger ones.
One of the younger ones, too?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Kris Jenner loves making a brand. And I just, for the record, I'm one of the few. It sounds like you're kind of over the Kardashian family. Good for them. Everyone says they have no talent. I'll tell you what. Kylie Jenner's a billionaire off of social media. Kim Kardashian got rich off a sex tape. She's now worth whatever she's worth. Good for them. They found a way to take advantage of a fucked up society that we live in, and I don't fault them one bit. I actually respect them all. I respect Kris and Kim the most, and Kylie too, because they're all just making a name for themselves, and they're just keeping their family on board. I like how they all stick up for each other and defend each other. I don't know if you saw Kim just posted a social media post. Basically, it's like an old school song. It's basically saying "Get your own man" because she's super petty. She always chimes in when she can.
Like she hasn't stole people's
man. No, that's fine. But my point is, you know what? Good for them. It's not my style. But hey, man, if I could get rich off this podcast and turn it into $50 million or $1 billion, whatever they're worth, you know, I would do it too. And if I had to be on social media every day, like my mom always hates, they live their lives and they don't protect their children. They put their children all over social media. And I get that. And I'm not saying I'm an advocate of that. But they found the way to become rich. They do what they want and they live rich people's lives. So that's my 2 cents. But yeah, you're totally right. Khloe is not innocent on this. She stuck around on a cheater. Let's just start with that.
And she's a scumbag too.
Exactly. And she stole all those men. Like I said, I know she was dating French Montana. It was neither French Montana was dating Trina or the rapper Trina.
That's a downgrade.
And then James Harden too. It was like those were the 2 guys. It was Harden and French Montana, the rapper, and they were dating Amber Rose. So basically,
Trina to Khloe's a downgrade.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Khloe. She's the only one I'm not interested in, really. The rest of them, I think, are all beautiful women. I think Kris is an attractive older woman.
You'd smash?
I think I would.
You would?
Yeah. I feel like she would buy me something. So
She'd probably buy you something nice.
She'd pay my house off, I feel like, so I could go debt-free.
Shit.
And then work part-time.
She'd buy 2 of these for you.
Anyway.
So that's all I wanted to say about it, really. I just, it just cracked me up that she was portrayed as the victim, and it's like, get the hell out of here, man.
And what cracks me up is America cares more about this than, I don't want to come across like I'm a super alt-right person, but President Trump is meeting with the president of North Korea, which no one has been able to do. He's trying to make headway. Who knows if it's all horse and pony or dog and pony show. But my point is, there's more important stuff in the media than this, and this
that's
is like
been going
taking
on
over
for years now, man. That's been
Our
a big
society's
problem with the
fucked up,
country
man.
is it's been that way for years now, and we just don't realize how long it's been like that.
Yeah.
But it's probably been like that for at least 15 years, I'd say.
You're probably right. I say maybe 10. Since social media really has turned it into that.
The devil.
Yes.
We all use it. We all can't get away from it either. All right, so let's go from one prima donna to another. LeBron James and the Lakers situation. Our very first podcast, I was more or less defending LeBron James as a basketball player in comparison to Jordan. I just didn't understand, a lot of what I talked about was all the LeBron criticism that he received, whether it was for off the court or mainly for his play was my main gripe. Watching him this season, he may be a little wrong moving forward in what I've said about LeBron James and him as a teammate and him as a player and a leader. Watching him play this year and watching him play absolutely no defense and players kind of salivate at the opportunity to have LeBron guard him because they know he's not going to play. He has his head so focused on so many other avenues, whether it's activism, whether it's his movie production career, whether it's drinking wine on the sidelines of a game. The list goes on and on. Throw in the fact that now he's starting to blame his teammates for basically everything. He tried to trade all his teammates. We know he tried to trade basically Kyrie off and other people off in Cleveland. He is essentially dictating everything that goes on with whatever team he goes to, and his team is absolute shit, and he is the, right now, biggest hypocrite, basically calling out his team for not having their heads in it or not caring enough when this guy is all over the place. And I'm going to play, before you comment, and we'll get on to this after I play this video real quick, because this guy couldn't have said it any better. Can you grab me a beer? My man. So I just need a little beer break here, but this guy couldn't have said it any better. It was Jason Whitlock. He was on Speak for Yourself, and he did about a 3-minute piece, and I'm just going to play this video, and then I'll get your thoughts on it here.
False advertisement. He wears his indifference to basketball on the front of his chest. LeBron's goal of proving to the world that he's more than an athlete is admirable, but it's poison for the organization paying him $35 million this season to play basketball. The Los Angeles Lakers are footing that bill. If I were Jeannie Buss, I'd want a rebate or perhaps even a refund. Hollywood James is disinterested. He's leading the NBA in finger-pointing, matador defense, and off-the-court side hustles. Last night, the 24-38 Memphis Grizzlies took advantage, beating the Lakers and dropping LeBron's squad 2 games below 500 and into 10th place in the West. With just 22 games left to play, I know someone who looks pretty prophetic. This season is going to be an epic failure. The main thing isn't the main thing, and that's never a good thing. It's going to diminish James's standing among his peers who still prioritize basketball over everything. The Lakers are a 500 club this year and no closer to unseating the Warriors next offseason. Now, you can be like King James and blame all this on his supporting cast. He keeps whining that his young teammates aren't fully focused and invested in basketball. He appears oblivious to the fact he isn't focused or invested either. Tired of pursuing Michael Jordan's legacy, the chosen one has fixated on a more attainable target. Jay-Z, media mogul, brand ambassador, pop culture darling, black Twitter icon, political puppet. LeBron is bored with athletics. That's why he's branded himself as more than an athlete. He's a talk show host. a public intellectual, an educator, a social justice warrior, a wine connoisseur, and now a rap music producer. Yesterday, the rapper 2 Chainz and Apple Music released a 1-minute behind-the-scenes hype video featuring LeBron's work on 2 Chainz' newest album. Laker boys like trap music. Okay, that's not the name of the album, but take a peek at the video.
I'm rare. Like a $2 bill. Like a $2 bill. Like a $2 bill. Like a $2 bill.
Y'all seen that video? According to the timestamp on that video, that was shot just before midnight on February 1st, approximately 17 hours before the Lakers tipped off a Saturday night game against the Golden State Warriors. LeBron skipped the game, blaming load management. He did not mention drinking wine and writing rhymes with 2 Chainz as part of his load mismanagement. The greatest player in the game skips a contest against the greatest team in the game, and you wonder why the young Lakers aren't fully focused and invested? Really? There's no mystery here. Lakers great James Worthy said there's a virus within the team. It's indifference. LeBron has it, and it is spread to the rest of the team. The danger for Magic Johnson and the Lakers is it won't be easy snapping LeBron out of his basketball indifference next season. LeBron is a social media animal. He has 47 million Instagram followers and 42 million Twitter followers. Those are the platforms and the stages he performs on most passionately. It's no longer a basketball court. Social media has hacked LeBron's hardwiring. Good luck to Magic, Adam Silver, and the NBA in their attempt to recode their most important asset.
So that was the article. I mean, I couldn't have said it, or the video, I couldn't have said it any better myself. He literally captured every point of LeBron James. Even going back, he actually even predicted this. The one part of the video was from October of 2018 when he said this was going to happen. He's saying he has too much going on. You know what I mean? He doesn't care. And in Philadelphia, we thought he was going to come here, but little did we know, you know, maybe he was getting tired of basketball, and this is what he wants to do. He can't deal with the pressure anymore of trying to beat the Warriors. And the day before the biggest game of this season, when he's about to play the Warriors again and be his team's leader, that video that I played, he was in the studio with 2 Chainz drinking wine, and that video was time-stamped at 11, so who knows how late he was up, and didn't play the next day, said he was getting basically like rest. So you don't come out and lead your team on the biggest game? Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
I can't wait to get into this topic. And I'm a fan of Jason Whitlock, too.
Huge fan. Yeah. It's odd, man. I feel bad for him because a lot of people, I guess in the black community, like consider him like an Uncle Tom. But the guy, I've heard him kind of say it for both sides, and he just tells it like it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think he's not popular because he doesn't reach. And in this social media era, they want over-the-top hot
He doesn't
take.
pander
We're in
either.
Hot take.
Right.
We're in hot takes, era.
Right.
But he stole all my thunder there. So just to defend LeBron real quick. Man, I'm not even sure I can, and I did.
What the hell were you thinking?
During that thing, something came to my mind, and I was going to lead with that just to defend him, and that was going to be my only defense to him. But let me ask you an honest question. Do you think Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson regret going for him? And did signing him, was that handcuffed to Anthony Davis, which they missed on? Because I mean, just
Magic got served on that one.
Just to capitalize on what Jason Whitlock said, LeBron wants to be a politician. He won't shut up and dribble.
He's branded himself more than an athlete.
Yeah, he's more than an athlete, which I totally respect. And
that's fine, but then don't come out and call your teammates out and say they have their head elsewhere. They have too many things going on that they're not focused on basketball. That's you, motherfucker. You were the one out drinking wine with 2 Chainz till the early hours of morning and didn't play in the next game.
Well, Brian Windhorst has said this too. I'm not the first person to say this, but I don't know that I'm rushing people. So when he left to go to the Lakers, people were first of all, I feel like especially, white America. I feel like NBA is not the most popular sport. It's football, and that could just be
football is absolutely the most popular
That's fine,
sport.
but I really thoroughly enjoy the NBA. Football and the NBA are 1A and 1B.
Well, I
and
think
I'm not
the
even
NBA
sure that NBA might be 1A for me, and football's the 1B.
The
And I know
NBA
that's unpopular.
NBA is the second most popular sport in the country right now. It's definitely surpassed, or it will surpass baseball if it hasn't already.
Yeah, and I think in
baseball's dying. NBA's growing,
especially in Philadelphia because the Sixers are on the up and up. But
it's all of America. Basketball is growing. You can look at the statistics, and Major League Baseball is declining.
So, a couple thoughts here. I really hope I remembered the point defending LeBron. But LeBron, and I appreciate you for kind of backing off on what you said when you defended him. I'm doubling down on everything that I said. As much as I respect and want to like LeBron, the player, he wants to be a TV show host with his barbershop. He's doing way too much, and he's forgetting about basketball. And he's on record before this season. He said that if he doesn't win another title, he was
cool
asked,
with that.
Yeah, he said that his legacy is solidified, and he is absolutely correct. But look at the Heat when he left.
But
he left the organization
his legacy will be solidified as not being as good as Jordan, or maybe even not being in the top 3. It depends.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure that you're going to go out and. I mean, I don't know.
I think he is.
I still got Kobe ahead of him. I know. I'm one of the few.
I don't think Kobe is. Kobe used to miss it. People forget how many shots Kobe used to miss, man.
But Kobe was there and he was dedicated. Is LeBron dedicated? He's taking time off.
Well, that's a good point.
Oh, here's what I was going to say to defend LeBron. In his defense, he missed. I think I looked it up in research. I think he missed 18 games this year. We're about 50 games in. So
that's pitiful.
Here's my point. If he played in those 18 games and maybe they win, is a little bit of this pressure off of him because maybe they're in playoff contention
well,
and
they
right
probably
now
won't.
they're not.
They're not. They're below 500 right now.
But
I think I saw something. They have like a 3% chance to make the playoffs.
There you go.
Statistically.
So, and I want to double down on everything I said. So what I said is I didn't like LeBron because he holds teams hostage. And what I mean by that is he signs these 1-2 year deals. We were just talking about Tristan Thompson. He justified Tristan Thompson getting $20 million a year. He justified J.R. Smith getting $13 million a year. So now the organization is invested in all these players, and what does he do? He leaves 2 years after he returns home. And granted, he brought Cleveland a title, but he rolls out. Look what happened to Miami when they left. He holds the team hostage. They were overpaying.
But Miami as an organization got what they needed, trust me. So they brought him there and they got their 2 championships. I think they'll take that trade off any day.
And you could be right, but back to like setting up a team for long-term success, He doesn't do that. He holds your team hostage. He jacks your salary cap. He doesn't commit by signing these 2-year deals, but it's really a 1-year deal with LeBron.
His contract with Miami was more than a 2-year deal.
Not his last contract. He signed a 2-year deal with the second year's the player opt-out. And then he did the same.
I think that's fine as a second contract. I don't really have a problem with that.
So you're kind of, and I don't want to argue this point. So what you're saying is he gave you your 2.
He gave you the initial contract.
All right, no problem.
He gave you the initial contract, and then for the backup, he's the best player in the world. He's like, all right, I'll give you 2 more years because Dwayne Wade was fading at the time. It was pretty obvious, and the team was fading. Chris Bosh, I think, had left at the time. I don't blame him.
Chris Brown, he had blood clots in his lungs, so he couldn't get cleared to play. But you're right. He didn't leave.
Point.
He just couldn't play.
He couldn't play. Right.
But so let's get back to this because we're getting off topic here. So if you're the Lakers, first of all, you had a young, feisty team that plays hard last year with a young coach who just won 28 games in a row with Golden State, right, while Steve Kerr was out. Now Luke Walton looks like a schmuck, and I like Luke Walton. I think he's a good young players coach. You had all these young, talented players, and now LeBron comes in, and he ruins your team. Your team was on a up and coming arc. Now he's trying to trade everyone. Would you want to play with LeBron? If you win, LeBron's going to get all the credit. If you lose, you're on the trading block.
Yeah.
I don't think people are jumping out to want to play with him. And actually, a few players have come out and say, I'm not going to play with him. KD's one of them.
KD?
Yeah. Kawhi Leonard has said that too. They don't want to go play with LeBron. And Brian, like I said, I'm not the only person who have said this, but Brian Windhurst, who's a big NBA analyst, he basically said that he thinks that there's maybe one or two players who do want to play with LeBron. And the LeBron mystique is wearing off because if Kobe has shown us, LeBron's next year he'll be in year 18. When it's over, and poof, it's that quick. So, I don't know.
You go from being the best player in the league to maybe like the 15th.
And listen, don't get me wrong, LeBron's still a great player, but you touched on a lot of things. He's just not engaged. He's trying to coast on his team.
He's not playing as much. He's not playing defense, so he's saving himself. He even made a comment, it's time to activate early, meaning like, I have been activating late towards the playoffs, which we get it. His minutes were sky high with the Cavaliers, and he was basically doing everything once Kyrie left. So he was playing a ton, and we saw how much he never left the court in the playoffs in that series. But this year has been a complete 180. He's basically saying, I haven't really been playing. I'm going to activate now a little early to try to make the playoffs. And then the problem I have is he says he activates and he starts playing a little bit, and that's still not panning out, now he's falling back again. Now he's kind of fading out. He's like, all right, this still isn't working, so...
Well, look who he held Magic hostage to get. They signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who sucks. They went and got Rondo, and LeBron's never played well with a Rondo type. He needs spot-up shooters. Rondo can't shoot. Lonzo Ball, who I think has some potential in the right team, he's not panning out. I do like Kyle Kuzma. I don't know.
He's beefing with the dad. The dad's starting to starting to talk shit.
Like I said, I don't know if I'm Magic. Like, do I regret LeBron? Do you look to trade him? Like, is LeBron going to end the Lakers? Or is he going to run away?
Lakers always need star. NBA is all about the players, whereas NFL is more about the teams. But NBA markets players more, and I think Magic's willing to have that trade-off.
I don't know.
I think
Magic wants to win, though. Yeah,
I think he does want to win.
There you go, because look what he did with the Dodgers.
I just can't see him trading LeBron, though.
I'm not saying trade him. Obviously, you can't trade him this year, but I'm just saying, like, is LeBron going to stick it out in L.A.? I don't think so. He's got a couple years left, and at this point, I'm not sure that I'm willing to give away
I wouldn't be surprised if he retires
Lonzo
in a couple
Ball.
Years. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires in like 2 years. If shit keeps on this trajectory,
left, maybe. Yeah, that's my point. I feel like I'm being scatterbrained now with LeBron, but he's doing too much. He wants to be a producer, an activist, a politician. Everyone knows has a wink-wink agreement with Clutch Sports. He basically started Clutch Sports. He stole Rich Paul from that agency. I think it's called like C&B or like C&M. It's like the biggest agency in the business. And basically, he's an agent. He's got this Clutch
He's trying
Sports.
To be Jay-Z, like Jason Whitlock said.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I do totally respect him for that. But you know what happens when you've been so great at something for so long? And to make a weird analogy, I did this when I was working with Foot Locker. I got so engulfed and I had so much success in my career that I lost focus of it. And I feel like Whitlock hit it on the head, and he kind of stole my thunder. But, yeah, LeBron can't wait to play the new rapper's album first, and the rappers send it to him because they know he'll post it on Instagram. LeBron's a big brand, and I respect him similar to how I respect Kris Kardashian for creating a brand. LeBron has a big brand. To your point, he probably is close, if not already a billionaire. But I just feel like, basketball is not his passion anymore, and it's glaringly obvious. And he's holding these organizations hostage, and I don't respect that. Put your head down
anybody does.
And win. The Lakers, his streak, I don't think they make the playoffs this year. What about you? I think they're 2 games out.
I don't think they make the playoffs, and I think this is going to be the start of the backlash, to my point that I think eventually it's just not going to really change, and he's just going to retire in a couple of years because he is going to be completely disinterested.
He becomes the villain in the media's eyes.
Maybe. I think we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Who knows? He has so many ties to media and Hollywood that, he might have them in his pocket. He might create another school that he has someone else pay 80% for, like the other one he did. And then maybe he looks like a hero again. So right now, if things keep on this trajectory, who becomes the NBA's top player? KD, Kawhi?
Well, I already think it's, skill-wise, I already think it's KD. And I think he proved that the past 2 years. I mean, Finals MVP against LeBron, and he...
All-Star MVP?
Yeah, LeBron picks him number one every year. LeBron ain't
I gotta
stupid.
say, man, when he goes one-on-one with LeBron, he dominated. Both defensively in that NBA Finals, the past finals that just happened, when they would go one-on-one on each other, KD got the better of him almost every time on offense, and I seen him shut him down on defense.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because overall I still think LeBron wins in the head-to-head, wins losses. But lately, especially the past 3 years.
That's why I said
you clarified.
Final.
No, you're 100% right. Yeah, I think it's KD. I don't know. I think it's KD. I think LeBron's on the decline.
I think it's either KD or Kawhi. One of those two. They're good all-around players, and you just see the impact.
I don't think Kawhi does as much for his brand to get the recognition that he probably deserves. And people are saying Kawhi, even though Toronto's like a top 2 seed, they're saying that he's out after this year.
I heard that too. I think he's going to be a Clipper.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. He's going to go to L.A. I don't know. That's a great question. Let me just broaden the question. If KD leaves Golden State this year, who's the team in the West? Because everyone thought it was going to be the Lakers. I'm just going to go out on a record right now.
It's still the Warriors, in my opinion.
So if they
won without
Clay,
KD,
yeah.
If they keep Clay, which maybe they will if KD goes, and you have,
I think they will. They have
Steph,
Draymond for one more year. So if KD leaves this year, next year they still have. They would have to. I think Clay's a free agent too, so they would have to re-sign Clay. But if they get rid of KD, you assume that they do. So they'll have Clay, Steph, and Draymond for one more year.
Maybe DeMarcus Cousins.
No, I think he's gone. They can't afford him because he's going to go back. He's proven already. First of all, they only lost one game to our Sixers since he's played.
So
I don't know if you knew that.
No,
I think they're like 11-1 or 12-1.
But this is when they start to make their push.
So you still think it's Golden State? What? I like how OKC. I feel like Westbrook's deferring.
And Denver's playing well too.
They're playing good, but they have no experience. I don't know.
Westbrook's just proven to. I don't know how to put it. Like he's just proven not to be able to get over the hump, man.
Yeah,
and I don't know what it is.
And I love that guy's heart. But now interesting stuff. I think it's KD though. You say who's the premier player? I think it's KD. I actually think Joel Embiid is sneaking up the list in the top 5, man, because he's just so on Twitter. He's a presence. But then
marketable. now you're kind of contradicting what you said about baseball. You're making more about a brand as opposed to the player.
Well, he's definitely the best center in the league.
I would say he's top 5.
I'll take him.
I would say KD. You have Kawhi, Steph. Now, see, it's hard. You have Paul George is playing at an MVP level right now.
I think Paul George is playing at a really high level.
Giannis. How can we forget Giannis?
Greek freak.
So it's an argument.
I think Embiid's
it's an
probably
argument.
top 7.
Yeah, it's arguably a top 5.
But I'm back. Yeah, but that's baseball. But to your point, you said the NBA markets players, so the brand is more important in basketball because that's what they want. And I think.
But
Embiid
when you're talking about a top
boxes.
5 in terms of just play, then I think that becomes different.
So when you said top player now that LeBron's gone, do you mean top skilled or top
player,
marketing?
Meaning playing on the court?
Oh, yeah, it's KD for me. Probably KD. I think Giannis is creeping up too. KD, Giannis. Yeah. And as much as we're bashing him, LeBron's still, he's not one no more.
Well, again,
he's
we're
still
saying
in the top 5.
Well, yeah, we're saying as he fades out, we're basically saying who takes the top crown. But all right, let's move on to this. We've gotten into that. Let's talk a little bit about, since we are drinking here, they recently found, which has been in the news a lot anyway, Roundup Weed Killer. And Roundup Weed Killer has been proven chemicals
that cause cancer.
That are linked to cancer.
Right.
So what we're looking at is the Uproxx website. They have an article by Dane Rivera, and I think a lot of other sites have reported this too, but basically just listing the beers and wines that have had, this weed killer. And it's obviously whether it's the grapes in the wine or, the barley or whatever hops that are grown that have these chemicals from being grown in there. So I'll read the article real quick here, and then we could talk about it a little bit. The public interest advocacy group USPIRG released a new report that shows trace amounts of glyphosate, which is the substance of concern here, the controversial herbicide found in Monsanto's Roundup weed killer, in 19 out of 20 big beer and wine brands they've examined. So before you call it a day and head out for a night drinking, maybe don't. Or do, because even if you opt out of drinking tonight to avoid the chemical, you're probably just going to consume it in something else, whether it's Cheerios, pasta, bread. If you like wheat, the stuff has found its way into everything. So the brands that USPRG analyzed were Beringer, Barefoot, so both wines, Budweiser, Coors, Corona, Frey Vineyards, Guinness, Miller Lite, Peak, New Belgium, Samuel Adams, Samuel Smith, Stella Artois, Sutter Home, Tisingado. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tsingtao. So and I know Coors Light was up there too. So chances are you probably already have glyphosate in you. Sutter Home Merlot scored the highest concentrate of glyphosate at 51.4 parts per billion, followed by Hong Kong beer Tisingado with 49.7 parts per billion. An American favorite, there it is, Coors Light, scoring a solid 31.1 parts per billion. Very cool flex. Only one beer tested clean, and that was the Belgian-brewed Peak beer, which we've never had because, no glyphosate. While reports acknowledge that the levels of glyphosate are below what the EPA considers in risk, they still found the results concerning, considering the potential health risks associated with exposure to glyphosate, noting that scientists have found that 1 part per trillion of the chemical is enough to stimulate breast cancer cells and disrupt the endocrine system. In a statement to USA Today, William Reeves, a toxologist for Bayer, tried to ease panic, and Bayer's under a lot of investigations right now anyway. Assuming the greatest value reported, 51.4 parts per billion, is correct, a 125-pound adult would have to consume 308 gallons of wine per day, every day for life, to reach the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency glyphosate exposure limit for humans. So that is really, really a minimal amount when you think about it. So 308 gallons of wine per day to get the glyphosate exposure at the highest level, wine, 51.4 parts per billion, and that's a 125-pound adult. To put 308 gallons into context, that would be more than a bottle of wine every minute for life without sleeping, which obviously you die from the wine consumption. What do you think about that? I'm not going to read the rest. It's basically just saying the same thing. But they found this. This is obviously from farmers who have sprayed Roundup, trying to keep pests away on the farms. And it's such a minimal amount, we're talking parts per billion, that they gave that example of a 125-pound adult would have to drink 308 gallons of wine per day to reach the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's glyphosate exposure limit.
Right, so the EPA, I get it. So I got 2 questions for you, and I'm not challenging you because obviously you're just reciting here. So they have to drink all that. The found said ingredient is parts per billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But did you not just say that in parts per trillion it stimulates cancer?
That is what they said in the article.
Okay, so that's my point number 1. My point number 2 is, okay, what we're reading as fact, but is that person, is Bayer credible? I don't know, Google Monsanto to you people out there, or the Monsanto group. Google who's behind them and who supports them. Your mind will be blown and you'll go on a really deep dive. I don't trust because they're saying that it's not. They're saying that, you have to consume this much for it to be a factor, and the parts that they're saying you have to consume are impossible to consume in a lifetime. So, I get the point.
Well,
my point is, who are they to say that? And then people have said that in parts per trillion,
Well, hold on 1 second. So
do you see where I'm
this is
going,
an article by Dane Rivera by Uprocks, and he's giving you both ends of the spectrum. So he did say that, yes, that even a part per trillion can be found to stimulate cells that could stimulate breast cancer. But on the other end, he's also saying that to reach what the EPA classifies as a dangerous amount, you would have to drink X amount. So it's kind of talking out of both ends of your mouth. It's saying that as little as 1 part per trillion could stimulate a cell to maybe potentially induce breast cancer. But then it's also saying that the EPA has set a regulation that to reach the limit, it would take this much alcohol at the highest level, too.
So they're playing the... They're
I don't really fault
the
this
line,
article.
Basically. No, I'm not playing an article. My point is, anything you could do, if it's a 1 in billion, 1 in trillion chance, and I know that I'm paraphrasing here, if you could die if you had a 1 in billion chance of dying from your Michelob Ultra, you probably would just refrain from it. Well, even though it's a really small chance.
But are you missing the other part of it, too? Which is saying that this is also found in a lot of the foods that you eat. So,
all Monsanto foods, the Cheerios. I already know about that thing. So when we were touching on this topic, I didn't know that Monsanto Group was involved on this. Did you see a guy won a $270 million lawsuit against the Monsanto Group because he got cancer? And he basically said that he eats Cheerios, and if not, just Google that, and I don't want to take away from the topic. I'm a cynic. I think Monsanto Group I think they're against the people and the population and the humans in the world. I don't know. I just think that I'm definitely going to steer clear of Heineken's, Coronas, all the beers that you mentioned.
Well, I got into that a little bit. We got into, in my last podcast, the Monsanto Group.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard.
With Jorge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do recall now. Buzzed after these Cirocs, so.
Yeah, well, you got to check that out, but basically to the same results. And they have so much in the pharmaceutical world. So much.
Big pharma stuff.
Yeah, but also so much into agriculture, farming, things like that. So that could really be a big concern.
But so let me play devil's advocate to what I'm saying. So is it avoidable? And are we doing too much research for our own good because of the internet age? Like, they have to stop the bugs from eating the crops, right? I almost feel like this has probably always been a thing.
Well, do they or don't they? Because number one, the reason they do that is so they can obviously maintain the crops and they could have them to sell for profit, and they could have large amounts. But there's also, as we know with vegetables, and they go bad, a ton of waste with vegetables. I mean, tons and tons of food waste every year from crops because they go bad for one reason or another, whether it's bugs, whether it's this or whether it's that. I mean, there's tons of things we could do with that waste, you know, whether it's compost or find other solutions for that, feeding animals. You know, there's a variety of things that there's so many people that can get creative and figure something out. The problem is these chemicals are probably worse off, and it comes down to, unfortunately, capitalism in a lot of sense. You know, people want to just make the most profit, so they mass produce it. How can we keep these fresh? Well, we can spray these chemicals to keep the bugs off. You know, we could put other chemicals to make them last longer. At the end of the day, that's why you see a big movement towards people going natural, organic, people growing their own gardens, because I think there's just this big awakening of, look at the dangers of the food that we've been eating and what we've been taught to eat for years. You know, even
capitalism, to your point.
It is. And it's
the dangers of capitalism. You're making great points. My whole thing is some of this research, so back to what I was saying, because I think you were missing the point I was trying to say, is some of this research, if we believed every report, we would never eat anything, we would never drink anything, we would be like bubble boys, if that makes sense. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that, like, is this much to do about nothing? Because I almost was just lobbying and kind of saying that I'm outraged at the Monsanto Group, and I think that any parts per billion or trillion is too much, blah, 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 blah. But is that too much research for my own good? Because then I'd never eat anything. I'd never drink anything. Is kind of like the point that I'm saying. So you see where I'm going with that? Should we just shut up and just do what we feel and live our life in the moment? Should we be mindful of these beers? I'm not too sure, because part of me feels like I want to avoid it.
We're in a society now where we have unlimited access to information. We have to double down on these scenarios if you want it to change. Or you hit them in the pockets. Like, you continue to grow your own gardens and have your own herbs and vegetables, or only spend the extra money and buy organic that you know are coming from local farms. Maybe you could see that. I think that's the key. You know, by turning a blind eye is just doing what you always did. It's definitely not the answer.
Yeah, but so to your point, I don't know if you looked into, so this is not off topic, but you're talking about like a pesticide or herbicide. Apparently, these groups are changing. Apparently, the wheat that was grown in the 60s was different. The wheat...
We talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah, right, and I know you touched on it. So
they changed the strain of...
Yes.
They changed the strain of wheat to
make it more filling.
And to be able to mass produce it.
Right.
Is my understanding. So to be able to make more of the crop. I don't know, man. It's all fucked up. I think people just are... luckily more aware today, and I think people are taking more action and doing more things towards it. So I do believe we're headed in the right direction. We do have to watch out for the Monsanto, for Bayer, for all them. Like I said, they have gotten
Big
into
business.
agriculture, so we really have to pay attention into what we're eating and where we're getting our food source from, because trust me, they do not have our best interests in mind.
I totally agree with that, and I think I might have mentioned this to you, not on a pod or anything, but I wish I had the mental fortitude to like go vegan. I really do. I've said it before, but I do. But see, I feel like it's probably the most healthiest thing for us. I've been doing the intermittent fasting.
I still believe in meat when meat is properly slaughtered and meat is properly taken care of in the most natural form and not processed as much. I do think humans
or when
really
meat's
have
grown naturally too. They're eating
grass and they're grass
fed. They're not being
right.
fed bullshit.
And they're not in these massive slaughterhouses,
right, exactly.
And getting sick and being pumped full of steroids and different
right. All
different preservatives or whatever they're putting in there. I think it is definitely one of the better fuel sources.
So that point, I read this philosopher Jordan Peterson. He talks about this meat and greens diet, and it helped them with, and you and Jorge talked on this, the inflammation that people experience from certain kinds of like dairy and stuff like that. But basically, humans have lived for years and years and years on animal protein. So
Well, that's the whole basis of the paleo diet. It's the prehistoric way of eating meat and not eating really grains and just vegetables and nuts. It's a more natural way of eating that we as human beings have always eaten. I'm not against the vegan diet.
So I said vegan, and almost I guess I should say organic too, because I'm not against the meats either. I think the problem is it's almost cheaper and easier to get drugs than it is to get like a grass-fed beef.
Well, here's the problem.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
You go to the store, you see two steaks. Both steaks look exactly the same. You have two porterhouses there. One is $10. It says USDA grade A beef. The other is $18-$20 USDA grade organic grass fed. They both look exactly the same. You're going to buy the one that's half price. It's just what it is. That's how most people operate. It's like, man, I can spend $20.
That goes down to capitalism. That goes down to 80% of Americans live in check to check and making their decision strictly financial.
That's exactly it.
It's a fucked up society, brother.
It's a shame. So everybody's got to get on the ball. Look into other options of obtaining meat, whether that's, hunting your own meat or other sources out there. That's a good thing. There's a ton of resources now, so people can find a way or an easier way maybe to cut that cost down. But let's move on to a happy note with our last topic of food and talk about a man in Arlington, Texas, who came in last in his fantasy football league and had to do a very nutty thing as a punishment. And I'm reading right from an article here on the Huffington Post. What he had to do, he walked around a dog park covered head to toe in peanut butter. Steven Stroud, 25, had never played fantasy football before, so his friends obviously lured in the rookie. He decided to join a league with high school friends. They've been playing together since 2009. It was my first year, he said, and I didn't do anything of the kind to study at first. I was just jumped in. He was dogged by bad luck from the beginning when his top pick.
This is so
listen
great.
To how they put,
this is
put
so
that.
great. I
Pittsburgh
love this.
Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell ended up sitting out the entire season. As a result, Trout was given the choice of paying $250 to the winning person or perform a humiliating stunt. Trout chose to do the stunt, standing in a Dallas dog park for 10 minutes, clad only in a gold Speedo, and covered in peanut butter, which Rob usually does every weekend to his sack and has the local dogs come over and lick them clean. He said, that's not a big challenge. No one believed me. They're like, no way he's going to do it. Trout told the station. Trout went through with it last Wednesday, hoping to get out of the sticky situation without a hitch. My strategy was to do it as fast as possible and hope that not many people would see. Trout, according to Fox 8 News, a lot of the dog owners just wondered what I was doing. And then when I lost the bet, they all laughed. So Trout was hopeful to fulfill the terms of the bet without being seen too much. There is video of this experience, which we'll post on social media. Still, he has learned a valuable lesson. He will be playing again, but probably not with the same guys, he told the news radio station. So, goddamn, would you do it? Would you cover yourself in PB and let dogs lick it off of you?
No, probably not. So, you know, it's first of all, this is hilarious. And I did look at the YouTube video. He wasn't getting his ravaged as much as I thought he was going to be.
The video I'm looking at here, the picture, there's like 4 dogs. He's bent down. And they're all licking him.
Maybe he likes that textured tongue feeling.
I wonder if any people would be worried to not let their dog lick this. Like, I wouldn't want my dog. Well, maybe I think it would be funny, but let your dog lick a random dude with peanut butter all over him.
So,
but I guess they're going to ask. They're not just going to.
First of all, I took your spot in the one fantasy league. Are you in any fantasy leagues? I think you took a year off or a little bit of a hiatus.
I whittled 3 fantasy leagues down to 1 because it was just too much, and I didn't like doing as many. I'd rather play on like FanDuel or one of the fantasy websites. You
like the daily.
I like that
fantasy.
more than
It's definitely more exciting daily because if you have a bad team, it's only 1 week. But
and you could play. You could play in a tournament where you could potentially win like $1 million, or I could play to win $700 at the end of the year with my friends.
So I'm not familiar with this concept, but our friend, he always is suggesting in our league every year the way he calls it. I forget what it's called, the term he uses, but he says if you finish last, you do this. And his suggestion last year was you got to get a belly button ring. So it's like belly button ring. So, and I like the concept. Like this guy had an option.
How long do you have to keep it in there for?
I think it's like a year till the next year until the next draft.
You got to keep that shit in for a year.
Or you just have to like be in public as it, like kind of like similar to this. You have to do like a public stunt.
There's no way.
But
there would be like a one-time
last
stunt.
Place, but it's last place. So there's no bet. If you finish last, you do this thing. And it's so crazy.
So here's what
I'm
would happen.
almost confident that I wouldn't finish last. So your question, would I do it? I think I would do it if that were the
You
stakes
can't
of
give
the
people
league.
an out. You can't give them an out like pay the winner $200. You got to just say loser has to do this.
That's what I mean, but it's not like loser.
And it has to be
last place of the league.
Last place. Well, that's the loser. Last place of the league has to do this, and it all has to be agreed upon at the start of fantasy football, because you can't spring it on to the end and then someone's like, or if they don't do it, they're out of the league. Is how you should have it.
Well, what people were saying, so I like that wrinkle, and what I think I brought it up or like mentioned it like into it, but I was saying like you get it notarized that like you're doing it.
Well, no. Here's what you do.
You like.
I mean, you can't
notarize
expect someone to do it for a full year. So if you had something like a belly button ring, you got to do like first day of summer or whenever they go to the pool or the beach.
Right.
They have to have video.
I like that idea. Yeah.
You have to have video of you with your shirt off, so everybody can see that you're at the pool or whatever.
Belly
and it's got to be. I would say you have to have multiple videos, so this way you can at least know they've had it on for, even if they've had it on for 10 minutes at a time.
And then we were talking about bottom of your foot tats.
That's pretty funny.
It's permanent, but like, no one might not ever see it, but it's permanent. So it's like
I
a
like
weird
that.
wrinkle there too. I don't know. I think it's crazy. Shout out to this guy for following through with it.
Somebody just grab your nuts?
Yeah, I grabbed my own nuts.
Yeah, well, I do got to say, I like to hear when people actually do keep their bet.
Definitely.
And they go through with it.
That's
so many times you hear people welching out or not doing it or.
Well, you know what's crazy? We talked about that, and I purposely did no research. I didn't tell you that because I didn't know how you would feel, because I thought it was a funny topic, and I wanted to hear the backstory, and I just heard it in real time, and that's why I was like giggling and like on my phone, because I was like looking it up as you were like reading the story. I think that's great, and like I said, I love the one wrinkle, the belly button ring wrinkle. It's like super funny to me.
You guys should do that. The only thing I might have a hard time with is tattoo on the bottom of the foot. It's not a big deal, but I have no tattoos, and I find that kind of original these days.
You're all American like me. I call it all American.
Yeah. So that would just mess up that streak for me of not having any tattoos.
Nice.
Any Hooser. So the only other thing I wanted to add to that, I have something in mind I wanted to mention. What is the craziest thing you've ever seen happen for a bet?
A fantasy bet or just a bet?
Just a bet in general.
I hate to be Debbie Downer. I can't even really think of that. I feel like people other than money, I haven't seen anybody really bet anything.
We had these two twins in college. We dared them.
Give a shout out to your college real quick.
East Stroudsburg.
Nice.
Yay, yay. Both my sisters actually went there too. We had these two guys in college. They were probably 1 or 2 chromosomes short of being special. These guys, we convinced them. We all threw up like $5 to drink a cup of their own pee for $5.
Oh,
or not $5. It was like, it would end up being like 30-some bucks that we were able to scrounge together for them to drink a cup like you got, a solo cup full of their own piss. Chugged it the fuck down.
Wow. I did something actually. You just made me think of something like a party favor. There was no betting involved.
You ate like an ash cigarette butt and an empty beer?
No, I would never do that. But they used to have this pet lizard, and one time we were drinking, house party. We were in our early 20s. We were playing with the lizard. We had it out or whatever.
You were playing with his lizard?
I grabbed it by its tail and ate the lizard.
You ate the lizard?
It was like a little gecko.
No,
it was maybe like 4 or 5 inches.
Whose lizard was it?
I'm not even bringing that up because the way you worded it, but yeah, there was someone had a little lizard that it was like feeding crickets.
Whose little lizard did you eat? No, I would have been pissed if you ate my lizard.
No, they were a little bit upset with me, but I was just in college Rob mode, and I know you can relate to that.
That's fucking nasty.
I know you can relate to that. I thought I was going to be sick. I didn't puke or nothing. I checked my shit the next day. Nothing in the stool. It was for no bet. So to your point, it was no bet.
Did you chew it?
I just bit it at the tail, and I flicked the tail at everyone, like trying to be cool, because I was like a tool mode mentality. Like
so
that's super like.
So you ate the body and flicked the tail?
I ate the body and I bit it at the tail, because if you're familiar with some of these,
and then you just swallowed it whole.
I just bit the tail off.
Let your stomach acids kill that motherfucker?
And my stomach acids held me down. I did not throw up. I didn't see anything.
I would have socked the shit out of you. You ate my lizard.
They were like, it was kind of funny in the moment type thing. It doesn't sound funny now because we're 35, but I would say I was probably 22, 23 at the time.
I mean, normally you've heard of people like eating a goldfish and shit.
Yeah.
Took it next level.
I took it next level. It was like running around on everyone. I grabbed it to like fake play with it, and I just picked it up by its tail, dangled it. I dangled it like it was a mouse, and I was about to feed to like a snake. I just dangled it by its tail, bit the tail off.
Holy shit.
That's the craziest thing that I probably ever done personally.
Yeah,
no bets were involved.
All right. Well, I think we'll end on that note, you sick son of a bitch. Thanks, everybody, for listening. It's been a good show. Hope you like the topics. Again, check out social media, Storytime with Boots. That Facebook and Instagram, Storytime W Boots is my Twitter. And thanks to Rip a Beat for ripping a beat and telling how he massacres little lizards here.
I just like everyone hosting from the lair. Thanks for all you guys joining us.
Yeah, so you guys can see pics on social media of the lair of us getting down, and also we'll post the link of Peanut Butter Man there so you can see what that's all about. Till next time, folks.
I fill you up. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup.